So tell me about some of the options for those caregivers when they are getting to that burnout stage. And we hope that they never get to the full burnout, because there's so many other options that they can look at.
Yeah, I mean, the number one thing is caregivers need to look after themselves. So we've got day programming, that's really important. It's available, throughout many different regions. Most regions have multiple options, both private and government funded options. And they vary in how often somebody can attend. So it just gives them the social stimulation. It gives families time to get that much deserved break from the day-to-day demands of caregiving. It allows caregivers to work. A lot of different reasons, or sometimes it's just a caregiver going out to get her hair done. Mm-hmm. And then we also have respite services, so the short-term stays where family members can get that holiday that they need. It takes a toll. It takes, I often say it to a lot of my families, it takes a village to care for somebody living with memory loss. And you really can't do it on your own as the disease progresses to its later stages, to the mid to late stages. So it's making sure that you're getting a break. It's like that with the airplane, is put the mask on yourself first and then put your mask. So if a caregiver is not caring for themselves, it becomes a snowball effect of problems because they're frustrated, they're agitated, and then the person with dementia gets that way as well, and then it becomes a lot of problems. So if they get that break, they feel refreshed again to continue on, and they avoid premature institutionalization, which I know nobody sets out to want to live in a long-term care facility. So it's making sure that they're getting those breaks when needed, so that doesn't have to happen earlier than needed.
Yeah, and I have a friend whose mother is living with them, and she has dementia. And they can't go out to dinner. They can't go to a wedding. God forbid they'd want to go to a movie and stay out until midnight, because they just can't do it. Yep. So, and nobody ever wants to be a burden to their children. Well, maybe me, but really nobody does. And that has to be the worst thing, is that if you become a burden to your kids, and maybe you don't even know it, and then the kids might start to resent the situation. I'm sure they don't resent the parent, but they might resent the situation.
For sure.
Well, what I see is the caregivers are beyond, and so now their stress levels are going up higher and higher. They're on anti-anxiety, all these things. And so when the caregivers under that type of pressure, they're not able to give the best care. So having a little bit of home care sometimes is an option for a lot of families to get that break. But also, I love the premium day programs and the day programs that many do offer, because it gives them, the actual client or the person living with dementia, that stimulation. And so many people forget how important that piece is.
It's crucial.
It's absolutely crucial, because otherwise, sitting in front of a TV, their brains are not being poked. They're not being challenged.
Yeah, I just had a scenario, even today I got a family member reaching out to me, and they extended their day program stays with us, and they said, you know what, my mom, when she came home from the day program this week, she wasn't able to tie her shoes for months. She was able to tie her shoes today.
Oh, that's great.
So it's almost, it wakes up, it brings people have had more conversations, and almost it wakes up the brain. They're so used to, if they're just sitting in front of the TV watching, it's not stimulating. They have to be social, they have to remain active, and that's going to extend their quality of life living with memory loss.
Yeah.
Now I hear so many people say, well, I'll never get my loved one to a day program. What are some, suggestions you could make to them to make that transition a little bit easier?
Yeah, I mean, it's a 50-50. Some people are excited to come for a day program and look forward to the socialization, and others just want to sit at home. And like that lack of interest in things is part of the disease, and a lot of the denial of the disease too. So my number one suggestion for families is, don't build it up to more than it is. Don't talk about it weeks in advance. Say, you know what, come for a place for coffee. It's a social club, which it is. Come, spend the day, do a couple activities, and then it helps you, but I mean, rationalization and reasoning is affected by the disease, but you know, everybody's going to react differently, but it's sticking to it as well. The caregiver also has to remember this is for them too, and that they can't just give up from the first response of, well, I didn't like that, you know, or that wasn't what I wanted, because what they wanted was to sit at home, right? So it's, no, you gotta push, and more times than not, they get engaged, they start making friends. It's tough, especially as a senior trying to make friends. So it just takes time and commitment and just a little bit of patience, and it does get better, it really does.
Yeah. Thank God there are places out there for people to go. And I see it with my friends now when their parents are older and they're struggling, and so it's fabulous to have places to go to and people to take care of the caregivers also.
For sure.
Because that's huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you so much for being with us today. If anyone hasn't been to Memory and Company in Oakville, drop in or call Ashley, because it's absolutely gorgeous. And like I said, we were lucky enough, we hosted an event there for a number of people with the retirement homes, and it was lovely, and I loved to see people going through with the staff there. That was nice too.
Yeah.